Hello, good evening, and welcome to your favorite business program, Business Live. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Coming up in this evening's edition, Ghana National Gas Company is to shut down their turbo gas processing plant for a period of 10 days. Meanwhile, some workers who demonstrated last week are being prevented from working on the plant. In other stories, IMF staff mission to Ghana have begun work today to assess the country's performance under the fund program so far. And Cabinet approved draft Made in Ghana policy document presented to it by the Ministry of Trade and Industry to help create a ready market for products made by Ghanaian companies. These and several other companies coming up on the program. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Once again, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Business Live today is brought to you by GCB Bank.
Thank you very much for staying and welcome back to Business Live. You can be part of this program by tweeting at JoyBusinessGH is our handle. By Facebooking, go to Joy Business, that's our page, like it, and you can get interactive with us on that page. And also for more business news items, go to myjoyonline.com/business. Now to our very first story. The Ghana National Gas Company is to shut down their turbo gas processing plant for a period of 10 days. The shutdown, scheduled to commence from this Wednesday, is to help carry out some routine maintenance works on the onshore facility located in the Western region. Communications Director of Ghana Gas Company, Alfred Obami, tells Joy Business the shutdown is also part of an insurance requirement for the plant.
There's a planned maintenance shutdown, scheduled one coming off from the 31st to the 7th. And indeed, some of these things will be replaced. These are not things that have expired, or these are not parts that have expired. These are working parts that would expire under demand. That is why we're shutting the plant and to replace these parts. It's just sad that you would have people working at a plant who are aware of these developments. I planned that release over a month ago. I have it on my computer. Indeed, I'm actually contemplating whether to even issue it out today, because my plan was to do so over the weekend against Monday.
But what about the contractual issues that they raised with management, the Chinese and the Ghana Gas, and which they believe that has an impact on their service conditions?
I do not see how that has an impact on their service conditions. First and foremost, what are the issues they're raising? We are ready to take over and manage.
Now, it is, however, not clear for now how this shutdown could affect power supply in the country. This is because the Volta River Authority recently imported significant volumes of crude oil to deal with any shortfall in gas supplies for power generation in the country. In a related development, reports say about 45 workers of Ghana Gas who took part in a demonstration last Friday have been prevented from working on the plant by some military personnel. Chairman of the local union, Sumaila Mahama, has joined us on the phone to give some clarity to this particular development. Good afternoon, welcome, Sumaila. All right, so we just lost touch with Sumaila Mahama, who is a local chairman of the union in Western region for Ghana Gas, to tell us more about this particular unfolding development. You're still on Business Live and to other stories. All right, so I'm hearing we have back on the line Sumaila Mahama to give us details of this particular unfolding development on Ghana Gas plant at Atwabo. Good afternoon and welcome to Business Live. Hello, Sumaila. All right, so we'll get Sumaila back on the line as and when we are able to contact him. Now, moving on, the visiting IMF staff mission to Ghana is expected to begin work today to assess the country's performance under the fund program so far. The exercise could impact positively on the proposed IMF board meeting and the release of some $500 million from donors. George Rafi has more.
IMF team, which is led by its mission chief, Joel Tejas Bennett, arrived in the country yesterday, and they are expected to jet out, possibly this Friday. The team is expected to look at the impact of the passage of the Bank of Ghana Act, which allows government to borrow up to 5% of previous year's revenue from the Bank of Ghana on the fund program, work on the payment of the state-owned organizations' debt on commercial banks, and assessing the country's fiscal situation. The visit has been influenced by difficulties by government in meeting some critical targets under the program, which forced the IMF to review the proposed date for its board meeting to approve Ghana's performance under the third review on 2 occasions. The fund is now proposing the middle of next month as the new date based on meeting some critical conditions. But this uncertainty hasn't gone down well with some economists like Dr. Joe Wabi, to worry this development could badly affect the economy.
There can be very serious implications for investors. The fund to say that, sorry, we are unable to get the approval of senior management. Take a clear recommendation to our board. Then watch out for ratings agencies, newswire services, investors. The yields on your Europe may take a hit.
But for Deputy Minister of Finance Monacote, government is committed to the fund program and will pass the third review.
There are a few things that we need to meet in order to come to the conclusion of the third review so that the fund can go to their board. We will finish those things. It is work in progress, and I trust me, Ghana will conclude, which is for 3 years, will conclude it successfully.
For some, this visit is critical because it could lead to the release of some $500 million from the country's donor partners, who are waiting for Ghana to pass the third review before the funds come in, and also convince some investors who had initially shied away from the country's 5th Eurobond issue to raise some $500 million. This could lead to the capital coming in if Ghana passes the third review.
All right, so let's go back to our earlier story where we are hearing that about 45 workers of the Ghana Gas Company plant at their Tuabo processing plant in Takoradi have been prevented from going to work on the plant. Now we have on the line local chairman of the union, Sumaila Mahama, to tell us more about this particular development. Good afternoon, Sumaila.
Yeah, good evening. A point of question, I'm not a local chairman. I am the secretary rather.
All right, secretary, general secretary or secretary?
Yeah, the general secretary, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
To your listeners.
Yes. Now tell us, how many members of the local union were prevented from working today, and what could be the reason?
Today, about 35 of our members who responded to work according to their schedule were sent home amidst heavy security at the plant facility.
What could be the reason?
We undertook a plant demonstration on the 26th of August. It was on Friday. And from which date they have asked that we stay away from all facilities of the company until communicated to. However, yesterday in the evening, we had a mail with the inscription that until 29th, Monday, which stipulated that 29th, today we should come to work. So members took their decision and went to work.
Okay, so aside these 35 people, are other members of staff still working?
Come again? I didn't get it clear.
The other members outside the 35 people who have been prevented, are they continuing with their normal activities on the plant?
No, we work in a shift system.
Okay.
And most of the people who were not due for their shift, they were home. And we also have others who do not work in the plant. They were all sent home today.
Now we are hearing that management is not prepared to deal with the local union with regards to this particular development. What's your view on that?
That is correct. We haven't had any official communication from management yet. We are still holding on. We halted the demonstration, as you are aware, by the intervention of the Awolai, the board chairman, and the minister, based on a phone call they sent to us, pleading with us to step down the demonstration. So for management per se, they haven't come to us, but I consider board chairman as part of senior management of the company. And so we are waiting when we'll get in touch with them and have a comprehensive meeting over the issues we raise. We think the issues we raise are bordering on the... Hello?
Yeah, go on, please.
I can go on?
Yes, please do.
I said I think the issues we raised were bordering on the safety of the plant, safety of our lives, facilities around, and we also raised issues concerning remuneration, staff welfare, which are very dear to all union members.
All right.
However,
so what about the view of your parent union, the Ghana
Petrochemical Union? I have personally spoken to the generals, to the secretary. I've also spoken to the president, Bernard. They have all promised me of their support for the local union, but we are asking that on consistent information we are gathering is that Obama, who is the PR communicator of Ghana Gas, he's consistently made the point that our mother union has deserted us in these harsh times, and we are expecting our mother union to come out and rebut what Obama is saying there, because all phone calls to them have proven that they are in support of what we did, and they still believe and trust in our actions. However, what we want everyone to know is that it is bordering on safety. Not even your mother union, not anybody in Ghana can prevent a worker from exerting his rights when it comes to the safety of his life.
But management has debunked those allegations.
Ask whoever is debunking the allegations. I've heard Obama on one platform. Look, I will not want to speak much to Obama because he's not a technical person.
Right.
I've noticed the mischief and pure lies that he is turning out into the public domain. To set some of the facts straight, Obama is not a technical person. And look, my brother, he knows next to nothing when it comes to technical operations.
All right.
I am an engineer.
Now, yes, so let's go. So what's the way forward now?
The way forward is that we as the union, we're trying to get in touch with the senior management. Hello?
Okay. Yes.
We are trying to get in touch with the board, schedule a meeting, and see how we can solve all grievances moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much. That will be it. That was the local general secretary of the local union of Ghana Gas, Sumaila Mahama, sharing his thoughts on the prevention of some 35 workers from going to work today by military personnel. Now, moving on, a further delay in passing Ghana's third review of the IMF program is expected to have dire consequences on businesses and investments in the country. Financial analyst Charles Mensah says failure to pass will send wrong signals and increase the cost of doing business for investors. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
Send a signal. That means that we are high risk. And when you're high risk, if you're raising at the next round of bonds, the price would definitely go up. The rate that the investors will charge will definitely go up. So I pray that we will not have any negative reports from the IMF. But if we do, it will have a repercussion on investment. Yes. I think it has to be renegotiation and then we have to find a way to sell the story to other investors. I mean, specific investors to specific sectors. Because like I said, there's sectors like the energy sector, like the mining sector, like oil sector. They are investing all right because people are knocking at the door to invest in those areas. But the cost of their funds is what is going to be up. So when it is that the IMF had issued or had withdrawn or has issued any negative thing, it will just affect the cost. But the principle of the investment will remain, but it's just the cost.
Okay.
So it would be government then to go forward and negotiate with some of these. And maybe they can throw in some of the tax rebates as a way to welcome them to come into invest in country, part of the attraction. Because if you don't get it at this point, you can get it at this point. So if the cost of funds is higher, and I'm throwing in a tax rebate or a tax incentives or investment incentives for you to come in, when you calculate the overall cost, it will be your cost of funds and then the tax. So the tax can be negative, and you reduce the cost of funds, and that in itself cannot be an attractive point.
Moving on, Cabinet has approved the draft Made in Ghana policy document presented to it by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. The document would help create a ready market for products made by Ghanaian companies and help to create jobs and expand production. Policy advisor to the Trade Ministry, Fred Alipui, revealed this to Joy Business at this year's edition of the Made in Ghana Products and Services Awards.
The draft policy document covers 20 different product items and makes recommendations on how public institutions can consciously promote made in Ghana products. It would ensure that government agencies, metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies prioritize made in Ghana products and services in their procurement processes. Speaking to Joy Business at the 4th Made in Ghana Products and Services Awards, policy advisor to the Trade Ministry, Fred Alipui, said the document would soon be launched.
One of the policy documents we have been working on has been the Made in Ghana policy document. And indeed, Cabinet has now approved the Made in Ghana policy document. The focus is on local content. The focus is on local content and also to empower local companies, manufacturers who may be bidding for projects. This is what I will say at this point, and the details will be pronounced by my Honourable Minister.
This year's edition of the Made in Ghana Products and Services Awards was under the theme Industrialization, the Key Strategy to Accelerated Economic Development and Job Creation. Prosecure Herbal Tea, manufactured by Medimoses Herbal Center, won the coveted Product of the Year award. Other awards went to Casapreco Company Limited, which emerged Manufacturing Industry of the Year. Founder and group chairman of the company, Dr. Kwabne J, was adjudged Industrialist of the Year. Group Indum won the overall Best Business Group of the Year award, while president and chairman of the group, Dr. Papakwesi Indum, received the Business Personality of the Year award. CEO of Entrepreneurs Foundation Ghana, organizers of the awards, Samatu Gezi, explained the impact the event is expected to make on promoting the Made in Ghana agenda.
Okay, this is the 4th edition, and I can say that right now, if you look at some of the adverts or you listen to some of the adverts, they sometimes say proudly made in Ghana, which was some years back wasn't like that. But now Ghanaians are very happy. Some of these manufacturing companies are very happy to say, or they have the confidence to say that this product is proudly made in Ghana. And quite recently I heard one of the products made in Ghana was advertised in UK. You see, so basically it means we are moving forward, because there's a need for us to move forward, because if your products and services are patronized, that is where you can create employment. So basically our aim and objective is to create more awareness for Ghanaians to know that there's the need to promote and patronize goods and services made in Ghana.
31 other awards were presented to indigenous companies with high quality and competitive Made in Ghana products and services.
Now, Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Business Solutions, Yolanda Kuba, has assured Ghanaian banks that the introduction of innovative services like the mobile money service is not meant to take away businesses from the banks. The mobile money service is gaining massive patronage at the expense of regular traditional banking services. Speaking at the just-ended 15th Ghana Banking Awards in Accra, she called on banks and other financial services providers to come on board with the various telcos in reaching the 70% unbanked population.
Telecom companies will not all of a sudden become pseudo-banks. We do not want to be banks. We do not want to be regulated like Barclays, like UT Bank, or any other bank for that matter. We want to be telco companies. However, in the last year, I've read many articles that talks negatively about the kind of cooperation that can exist between banks and telco companies. It is therefore in this context that today I want to actually come back and talk to this topic. In fact, in the last week, our financial director, Ken, actually spoke to this very topic around whether we should be actually working together in order to solve the problems that we really face in Ghana, which is around financial inclusion. Or should we be competing at the top end, fighting only for the 30% that are amongst us that are already financially included? So for me today, I really want to talk about the 70% that are unbanked. And we are saying to the banking community, walk this journey with us.
It's all on Business Live. We're taking a break and present to you some international business news updates.
Cocoa arrivals at ports in top grower Ivory Coast reached about 1,453,000 tons by August 28th. Since the start of the season in October 1, exporters estimated on Monday, down from 1,710,000 tons in the same period of the previous season. Exporters estimated around 4,000 tons of beans were delivered to the West African states' two ports of Abidjan and San Pedro between August 22nd to August 28th, down from 14,000 tons during the same period last year.
Thanks for staying on. This is Business Live, and now time to go to the stock market. I've been joined by Bertha Atubiga, stock market analyst. Bertha, good evening.
Good evening.
Now tell us, how has the stock market been faring? It opened today. What is going on?
Let's say from last week to today's trade, let's say the activity has not been that much, but we've seen some block trades in some of the equities. We saw the major indices closing last week with some marginal drops in their week open levels. So the composite index actually closed at negative 9.34%, and the financial stock index closed at negative 11.19% for their average quotes. Now you come to today's market, we had 15 out of the 38 listed equities trading actively on the market, and from last week's statistics we were expecting that most of these equities would trade, and we saw that happen at the beginning of the week. However, we didn't see much or significant volumes trading in the individual equities, and it was FML that had EGA that had a very huge number of shares. That's a block trade in its total volumes of shares for today, but the equity remained flat as still as 6 cedis 87 pesos per share. We however saw some equities, 6 equities moved on their previous share prices. ETI managed to gain a peso to close at 16 pesos per share, and we had HFC also gaining 3 pesos to close at 75 pesos per share. However, we had GCB, GOL, and then SIC and Talo losing on their previous share prices. So GCB closed at 4 cedis last week. As at the close of last week, it was 4 cedis 1 peso per share. But as the close of today's trade, it closed at 4 cedis per share. And we had SIC shedding off a peso to close at 16 pesos. Talo shed of 15 pesos to close at 27 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos per share. But in all, we had a total of 142,430 shares trading at a sales value of 725,965 Ghana cedis in 41 deals.
Thank you very much, Bertha,
You're
for
welcome,
that update. That was Bertha Atubiga. It's now time for the interview of the day.
Interview of the day is brought to you by
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
The news that should concern us Ghanaians is particularly in an election year. We should know that there are serious things from our past, no matter what we say about our commitments, that raise doubts about whether what we say can be taken as the first and last of it. Because we have had a track record in which every election year we have an excess deficit because there are what I call the political projects that get funded, and therefore we end up with larger deficits. The World Bank has documented it, other people have documented it, the so-called political business cycle. So we cannot just keep saying, take our word for it, we are committed.
Interview